Jasmine Crockett calling Texas governor, okay, she's from Texas, the governor, Greg Abbott, who is paralyzed and uses a wheelchair. She called him Governor Hot Wheels.
The judge has obviously had enough of Mr. Mloud. Right now, it's not even about being tough. It's just stating the obvious. As Mr. Mloud keeps fumbling papers and quoting non-existent statutes, the court calmly and softly calls him out. It's a great illustration of how to run a courtroom. The judge's ability to communicate the facts without resorting to harsh words must be respected. A clear reminder of who is actually in charge in that courtroom is provided by such instances. Democrats seem to be struggling to match Trump's popularity and vigor in the political arena. To be honest, their attempts to emulate his style haven't been very successful. It was also mentioned by Bill Maher, who called the DNC's approach antiquated and unimaginative. His comments were direct, humorous, and accurate. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and stay tuned, as the full story will soon be revealed. Let's get started.
Crockett, who is, I thought, a big leader in the Democratic Party, her quote is, "This is a terrible nightmare. Somebody slap me and wake me the because I'm ready to get on with it." On with what would be my first question. And also, this is the way this is like how a podcaster talks or some shit. Can you imagine?
But Bill Maher wasn't holding back. His criticism of Jasmine Crockett's charm attempt was that it sounded more like something you might hear on a podcast than a genuine political voice. To be honest, it hurts. If you were going to copy someone, you would at least anticipate some acknowledgement. But Maher saw right through it. He didn't think Crockett's performance was brave. It appeared hurried and overdone, and it lacked true honesty. Furthermore, the person she seems to be imitating, Donald Trump, didn't need to practice his speech, change his accent, or polish his mannerisms to win over audiences. He found it easy. Moreover, Maher was not alone. His guest also observed the act and provided a genuine, albeit critical, evaluation. The following thing that was said is worth hearing.
Person Crockett is part of the new trend where informality is okay, where formality used to reign. Okay, fine. That's been going on since the 60s. So her routine is that she wants to bring a little bit of what I might quaintly call the ghetto cat fight into these spaces. I get it, bring a blaxploitation movie or something into Congress. Great, work it. But you do not make fun of the fact that somebody lives their life in a wheelchair. That doesn't work. If she thinks that being black and fabulous gives her a pass on that, then she's got a really unfortunate sense of what.
Democratic candidates are starting to realize that voters are more likely to respond warmly to bold, uncensored candidates than to those who come out as stiff or overprepared. At the moment, they are trying to shape a new generation of politicians that seem louder, more personable, and less scripted. But here's the problem. They fail to grasp the crucial concept. It is impossible to imitate authenticity. People who are dishonest can be identified by voters. They spotted Kamala Harris's two prepared lines. They weren't fooled by Tim Walz's lecturing tone, and they're likely to see straight through Jasmine Crockett's painstakingly maintained character as well. Simply said, charm cannot be manufactured or marketed as a component of advertising. The more forced it is, the more awkward and vulnerable it looks. Trying to emulate Trump's charm without having his natural delivery is not a political strategy. It becomes unintentionally funny. If you haven't seen Jasmine Crockett in action yet, you might be surprised by this following clip.
See you in the new year. No one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up.
How calm and collected that Jasmine Crockett is. Indeed. She vanished as soon as the DNC started getting her ready for the spotlight. Back then, she was calm, amiable, and even likable. She is loud and very animated, and she feels like a completely different person now. Instead of being genuine, it seemed like she was reading from a script. She is clearly trying to be Trump's Democratic equivalent. What's different is that Trump's fire was real. Crockett comes out as forced, phony, and theatrical. Voters can see right through it. Bill Maher even attacked Hillary in an interview with Chris Cuomo, praising both her behavior and the DNC's decision to back her.
This first character on Joe the cop.
Yeah.
And they make 1,000 jokes about it.
But he's a comic.
But it just shows you that, you can joke about these things without
I'm fine with it.
without
But when you
making
cancel one person,
No,
but
no, I
because it's a
agree.
black woman
You're
who's
right.
doing it, they're not going to cancel her.
Totally.
That's the problem.
You're right. She wears the magic armor. She wears a magic armor so she can do that. Yes, you're right. And both parties do that. Like when you're in our side, like if I made a fat joke about anybody in the world, how dare you from the left? If you make it about Trump or Chris Christie, it's just hysterical.
That's right.
That's what we got to get past.
I know.
That's those independent, what'd you call them? Independent and
Critical thinkers.
critical thinkers.
Like I tell people,
How do
I
we-
don't want the lemmings. I want the lions. You can have the lemmings. You got 45% of the country are happy to follow. Sheeple.
Way more than that.
No, I think they just stay on the sidelines. I think they watch what's going on and they're like, these people are fucked up. Let me just stick to my regular life. Politics doesn't affect me anyway. I'm not going to let this toxify my...
I absolutely concur with Maher on this issue. Let's be truthful. If Jasmine Crockett hadn't been a woman of color, the criticism of her behavior would have been swift and harsh. But because she meets the right identity categories, the DNC protects her as though she were untouchable. Identity politics has the flaw of being solely concerned with outward looks rather than aptitude and morality. So did the DNC with Kamala Harris. They branded all criticism as racist, ignored the warning signs, and now look at her struggle. Now, they are repeating the cycle by encouraging Crockett while quietly setting her up for failure. During a heated discussion last month, she even called Nancy Mace a child. Pay attention to it.
Pain coffers really are struggling right now. So she gonna keep saying trans, so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all
I
to
am
tell
no
me
child.
whether or
Do
not
call me a child. I am no child.
I want
Don't
to
even
find
start.
out
I'm a grown
which
woman.
of those
I'm 47 years
females
old. I have broken
actually
more
have.
glass ceilings than you
Chairman,
ever
I'm
will.
reclaiming my
Let's go.
time.
You will not do that.
Order.
The trans movement and the left's desperate attempts to embrace it were at the center of the discussion. As the situation rapidly became heated, Jasmine Crockett made the classic woke decision to take it personally as she started to lose her temper. Instead of defending her stance, she charged that Nancy Mace was using anti-trans sentiments to raise money for her candidacy. Indeed. Instead of debating, Crockett basically stated that Mace was raising money. Total deflection. In fact, this is currently the chosen strategy of the left. When the evidence is against them, they attack motivations. If you can insult your opponent, why participate in scholarly discussion? It's like turning the tables in politics when you're losing the game. Disregard the argument. They want to be dominant. And as soon as that grasp is released, the personal attacks begin.